What if I told you that the company you think you know, well, isn't actually what it appears to be? What if I told you the world's most famous automaker's absolute biggest product isn't actually a car? I know, it sounds totally unbelievable, right? But the data points to this massive kind of hidden shift happening right in front of us. We are literally watching a company completely redefine its DNA in real time, and honestly, most people haven't even noticed the true scale of what's being built here.
Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack the reality behind one of the most talked about, scrutinized companies on the planet. For years, the narrative has been super straightforward. They're a company that builds sleek, battery-powered vehicles. But there's this huge disconnect right now between how everyday consumers view the brand and how Wall Street is treating it. Consumers see a car manufacturer. Analysts, they see a tech behemoth. So we're going to explore whether this famous brand is genuinely shedding its original identity, or if this massive valuation and tech-forward narrative is really just a masterclass in modern marketing.
Section 1. More than a car. The reality behind the world's most debated automaker.
Because to understand where a company is going, we first got to acknowledge the universally accepted truth of where they are right now. Most people know Tesla for a very specific reason. You look out the window, you see a Model 3 driving down your street. It's physical, it's tangible. This is the exact vehicle that proved to the entire world that electric cars could actually be mass-produced, affordable, and incredibly popular. It pulled them right out of being just some quirky niche experiment.
Then, you run to the grocery store, and there's a Model Y parked in the lot. And get this, it wasn't just a popular electric vehicle. The Model Y actually became the best-selling vehicle in the world globally in 2023. Not the best-selling EV, the best-selling car, period, beating out those gas-powered giants that have literally dominated for decades. That is a staggering piece of rolling hardware, and it totally cements the company's identity in the public mind.
And of course, there's the Cybertruck. Whether you absolutely love the polarizing design or you can't stand it, its cultural impact is just undeniable. It's this massive, rolling, stainless steel statement piece. So because of these incredibly famous, highly visible products, well, saying that Tesla isn't really a car company almost sounds completely ridiculous, right? I mean, they manufacture cars, they sell cars, we drive the cars. That is their loud, massive physical footprint.
But here is where it gets incredibly interesting. And it's exactly why we're looking at this today. When you look at the stock market, traditional automakers are valued based on how many cars they sell and their profit margins on that metal. But this company, it's valued at multiples far beyond those legacy brands. Why? Because the market isn't just pricing in more cars. They're pricing in the belief that this will become one of the world's biggest AI and technology companies. And that one shift in perspective, it changes absolutely everything about how we measure their success. So here's the real question we need to answer today. Is this company actually transforming into something completely different? Or is this just another ambitious promise?
Section 2. The EV mainstream facade. How Tesla changed the automotive industry.
It's absolutely vital to acknowledge exactly why the car company label makes perfect sense. Their historical impact on this space is just undeniable. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what they did. First, they literally brought electric vehicles into the mainstream. Before them, EVs were essentially seen as, glorified golf carts. Second, their sheer financial success forced the hand of legacy brands. Giants like Ford, GM, Volkswagen, they suddenly had to pivot billions of dollars in research and development to take EVs seriously, rather than just treating them as some side project to appease regulators. And third, as a direct result of this massive shift, they became one of the most valuable automotive companies in the world, at one point crossing $1 trillion valuation. That is almost unheard of for a traditional manufacturer. They absolutely dominated the standard metrics of a car company. But is that the whole story?
Section 3. The AI and tech clues. The missing puzzle piece.
Here's something most people never really stop to think about, and it creates a massive point of friction when you try to analyze their corporate strategy. Take a look at this and really think about it for a second. If this is just a traditional car company, why does leadership spend so much time focusing on things completely outside of automotive metrics? Think about your typical car commercial. You've got a sleek vehicle driving on an empty, winding mountain road, and some voiceover is talking about horsepower, 0 to 60 times, leather interiors, maybe cargo space. But that's not what's making the headlines for this company anymore. So why is that?
So the crucial point is, the focus just isn't on the metal and the wheels anymore. It is heavily anchored in artificial intelligence. They're spending billions of dollars on NVIDIA chips and literally building their own custom dojo supercomputers just to process data. Then there are the robots, specifically the Optimus humanoid robot project, designed to eventually step in and replace human labor in manufacturing. And of course, self-driving technology. that's fueled by billions of miles of real-world driving data collected from their fleet. When a company dedicates this much energy, capital, and public messaging to AI, neural networks, and robotics, you kind of have to realize their real goal has never been just building cars. Actually, scratch that. Building cars was likely only the beginning. It's the Trojan horse, so to speak.
Section 4. The smartphone paradigm shift. Cars are only the beginning.
To really grasp what's happening here, we don't need to look at the automotive industry. We just need to look right in our pockets. Think about your smartphone. When you go to the store to upgrade, you aren't buying it just for the physical hardware, right? Sure, the titanium frame and the OLED screen are super nice, but the physical device itself is basically a brick on its own. The real value, the actual reason you rely on it every single day, is the software. It's the App Store ecosystem, the operating system, the connectivity. Companies like Apple make billions, not just from selling you the glass and metal, but from selling you the digital ecosystem that lives inside that glass. The hardware is basically just a vessel for the software experience.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly this exact analogy maps onto our subject. In a lot of ways, Tesla sees its cars the exact same way you view your phone. The vehicle, that isn't simply a product to them, it is a platform. The real compounding value comes from the software running inside it. The car is essentially a highly advanced, moving computer that just happens to have 4 wheels attached to it.
Let's move to and see how this builds in the real world. Because they treat the car as a software platform, a single over-the-air update can achieve incredible things literally overnight. Take step 1, improving safety. A few years ago, Consumer Reports actually found a flaw in the braking distance of the Model 3. But instead of a massive, super costly physical recall where everyone had to drive to a dealership, they just sent out an over-the-air software update, and boom, the braking distance was improved by 20 feet overnight. Step 2. Unlocking new features. You wake up one morning and suddenly your car has dog mode to keep your pet safe or sentry mode to record potential break-ins. And step 3, completely changing the driving experience through continuous autonomous driving updates. And the most remarkable part of all of this, the whole shebang happens without changing a single physical bolt on the car itself. Your car is literally getting better while it's just sitting parked in your driveway.
Section 5. Tesla's biggest bet. The ultimate transformation.
Everything we've covered today, the shift from horsepower to AI, the massive investment in supercomputers, focusing on software over hardware, and transforming a vehicle into a computing platform, it all leads to one inescapable conclusion. They have successfully disguised a massive software and AI infrastructure project as a mainstream electric vehicle brand. The ultimate goal wasn't just to put an EV in every driveway, it was to put a data-gathering supercomputer on every single road. And that is exactly what makes them look far less like a traditional automaker and much more like a technology giant. The cars? They were just the necessary first step to gather the data and build the platform.
Which completely redefines their future. If the car was just the beginning and the software is where the real value lies, then the horizon is far more complex than anyone in the traditional automotive industry ever anticipated. If they succeed, they won't just own the roads, they'll own the intelligence navigating them. Which brings us to the ultimate question: what is Tesla's absolute biggest bet?